From Zendikar themed secret lairs to Jace Shoes, there's a lot going on in the world of Magic the Gathering today. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. Welcome to another installment of Mega Magic News. We are living the history. See, I just tied that to my name, huh? Oh, all right, so got a number of things on the agenda, a number of interesting news items. Admittedly, some are bigger than others. It's like a random grab bag where you got some big meaty stuff and some little, okay, that's a cool little side note style news. So let's start out with what's probably like the biggest and most interesting news. And that is there's going to be a Zendikar aligned secret lair. And what I mean by that is Wizards of the Coast has announced that they will be releasing a secret lair themed for Zendikar, and they'll be announcing that in the upcoming days. So we don't know what the theme will be. We've seen a couple of different like set aligned secret lairs. If you look back, we have the two most recent examples would be the Godzilla lands that were tied to Ikoria. Now those are tied to Ikoria because Ikoria was literally like a Godzilla tie-in set. You know what I mean? Like it's a weird thing they've done there. It's the only time it's happened in Magic the Gathering. I'm not exactly sure how to quantify and classify it. It's a weird scenario where I don't know if Wizards was paid to do that or it was just some sort of like marketing stunt to try and tie into an upcoming Godzilla movie. I'm still not 100% sure why Ikoria is the lair of behemoths when there's not a large, like a bunch of huge creatures in it. And it just feels like it was created to tie to Godzilla. So you have the secret lair that's in the same vein, right? And so that feels like an outlier. What I feel like is more likely with the Zendikar secret lair is that it'll be something akin to what happened with the Theros secret lairs. So I actually have that set of secret lairs and we'll be opening it soon. I'm thinking, I got a funky concept for the gods that I hope makes for a good video. But anyways, the Zendikar, no, sorry, I'm getting a little tongue tripped up here. What I'm trying to say is the Theros secret lairs. They went back and picked the 15 gods from the original Theros block and made those into a set of secret lairs to go along with the release of Theros, which makes sense. I mean, it would have been cooler if we had a deeper story that involved more of the gods and things like that. Admittedly, it was kind of story light in that regard with Theros, but overall, the idea of doing constellation variations of the gods, because they had done constellation variations in the Theros set, and it was a new concept, why not do the same thing with the original gods? And for me, that's a huge win as far as like tied to a set secret lairs go, because I don't care about Godzilla particularly as a property, because I never like grew up watching it or got right into it. I don't care about the Godzilla lands. I don't like hate them, but the Godzilla secret lair is just kind of like, oh, that's cool if you like Godzilla. But for me, it's just basics I would never use, right? So with the constellation gods, I'm a huge fan of those. Those are going into my cube. So for me, what I'm hoping and what seems most likely is they'll do something similar to what they did with Theros, where you'll end up with a number of possibilities. Now, I mean, they could do something like an adventure theme, right? Where they go, okay, this new Zendikar is all about adventure. So we're going to go ahead and tie in particular cards that have an adventure feel to it. You know what? They could include traps or cards that feel like treasures, things along those lines. That is possible. But it gets progressively more exciting depending on how much you let your imagination run away with you, right? I mean, Zendikar is really famous for two things majorly. Sure, the thematic theme is adventure, but let's be real, guys. If you ask somebody who's in the know, somebody who's been around for a while, what's Zendikar about, they're going to say two things: Eldrazi and Fetchlands, right? Those are the two biggest things associated with Zendikar by a long margin, right? There's other things people will say, but overall, those are the two big bullet points. When you think short form Zendikar, you go Eldrazi Fetchlands, right? So there's the possibility of either of those being the secret lair. We could see the great Eldrazi Titans, perhaps, you know what I mean? All three of them get you all together. You know, Ulamog, Kozilek, Emrakul, all together. 3 cards is that's a good amount for a secret lair. We've seen them do similar ones, right? Who knows? They put it out for like 40, 50 bones, something like that. And then you can get all of the ideally original ones, but they could do either version because there are 2 sets of each of these guys, right? So depending on how far they want to go back, or maybe they do 2 drops that have both of them. I don't know if this is a group of secret layers being dropped or just one secret layer. And then obviously there's the really letting your imagination run wild with you. And that is thinking that it could be a Zendikar fetchland secret layer. Now, obviously you have to temper that sort of imagination of, wow, oh my God, with the fact that if they are doing this, that does mean it will be as expensive or more expensive than the previous fetchland secret layer, right? They'll release it in one of those gigantic boxes to make it feel more premium, and it will be 5 cards for hundreds of dollars. So there is the potential it could be fetchlands, because we have been told there will be a fetchland reprint this year, and the only thing we've been told specifically is that those fetchlands won't be in a regular standard legal product like draft boosters. That's really all we know. So it's reasonable to think that it might be fetchland. So those are the off the top possibilities for secret lair. Now bear in mind, that's not everything automatically like that it could be. There could be other options. You could come up with a concept that I haven't come up with and go, oh, what about something like this, right? And that could totally be it too. But I don't know, man. I feel like the Eldrazi is the most obvious choice. I don't know if that's the route they're going to go, but from my perspective, Zendikar isn't going to have the Eldrazi. So the people who are fans of Eldrazi are going to be longing for them. So if you give them these alternate versions, then you end up in a scenario where you might be able to sell more of them. But on the other hand, you may want something that ties specifically to the theme. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on, but I lean towards Eldrazi. Okay, the next point is just that Zendikar spoiler season is going to start tomorrow. There are some people who've been asking, when does Zendikar spoiler start? So that's tomorrow. They're set up to be spoiled from September 1st to September 9th across a number of different platforms. A whole bunch of different people and places will have spoilers, and I will be covering some of that spoiler stuff here, if not all of it. I haven't decided how we're going to approach this spoiler season. Actually, Rosewater's going to have a story about the design of Zendikar coming out tomorrow, so we might touch on that and cover that. The next item on the list is RL spikes, reserved list spikes. So there has been a bunch of what feel like artificial reserve list spikes lately. This is just worth touching on in passing. Obviously, I'm not a Magic Finance channel, but it's interesting to note that a bunch of like garbage old school cards have shot through the roof, right? What's happening is people are buying these cards up because they're on the reserve list. Essentially, Wizards has made a promise that they'll never reprint these cards, which means they're obviously very limited in quantity. And these cards that are on this reserve list are also decades old, right? We're talking cards that were printed over 20 years ago. So there is a certain portion of the Magic investor fan base or whatever that goes out and buys up different cards. And so there's just been a bunch of garbage cards just spiking up massively, but it's just kind of an artificial demand. And what happens after a while is the prices kind of just drop and settle back down because nobody's willing to pay these absurd prices. It's just somebody like, I've grabbed everything on the market. Oh, look, the price is sparking. It's like, no, it doesn't mean anything. It's just interesting to note that right now we're in a period where that is happening more than usual. So it's funny because if you go to places like areas that MTG Finance hangs out in, like their Reddit and stuff, they laugh at different, like, there's all kinds of people with different goals going on in there and trying different things, and some people are just laughing at each other, going like, why are they sitting there going after these cards? Don't they get it? Somebody used a sports card analogy that was actually pretty decent. They said, look, there's only a few like old school sports stars whose cards are worth anything, and they're worth insane amounts of money, like Mickey Mantle cards or whatever, right? If you go back far enough, there's like super old school sports cards that are worth tons of money, but only for key particular players. If you get like other cards for other players back then, it doesn't matter that they're super old because nobody cares about them and nobody wants them, so they can't command nearly the same price tag. Yes, there may be a premium on them because they're older, but they're nowhere near these behemoth cards. But it seems like there's a certain group of people in MTG Finance who think that like every old reserve list card can just be pushed up to these insane prices and are sustainable. So it's I don't know, sometimes it's interesting to look from the outside and see how people are trying to use Magic the Gathering to like generate investment money and stuff, and the way that that's approached, because I just approach it like a game. You know what I mean? In the past, I definitely have done a few videos talking about like, hey, if you're going through your collection and you find these uncommons, you may want to hang on to them and toss them into a box because later on down the road they'll be worth more. And that's just more like extracting a little more tradability or value out of your collection so you can further your collection, which to me is like a normal way to do things. When you move into the realm of like, hey, I'm gonna try and like do this like the stock market, that's where it moves outside of anything that I do. And it seems, whatever, man. I mean, you do what you want with your money. I'm not a huge fan of things that increase the end price of Magic cards for other people, though. So can't say that I'm a hugest fan of all that happening. But overall, I'm only bringing it up because I found that the cards that were spiking were like ridiculous garbage. And it was interesting to see. So let's move on to the next item on the list. And that is apparently Magic the Gathering is being featured in the New York Times Crossword with the clue, magical resource in Magic the Gathering. And if you like the fact that Magic the Gathering like reaches out into other things, that's a neat little note. And speaking of Magic reaching into other things, we have the Jace Shoes. Okay, so I'm gonna put these up on the screen so you can take a look at these lovely things for a moment. While I have a sip of water. Ah, delicious. Okay, so what you're looking at are Jace Shoes. There's only 300 pairs of these in existence. They actually glow in the dark, so all the white parts that you're looking at are glow in the dark. These things go on sale tomorrow. So September 1st, they are on sale for $100 through Hasbro Pulse. There are 300 pairs made in total, and some have been basically used for giveaways and promotional purposes, so there's probably less than 300, unless they have 300 they're putting up for sale on top of the promotional ones, which is still possible. But either way, I'm imagining the difference is negligible. I imagine these will be difficult to acquire. Now, you may be looking at them and going, I don't care that much about these shoes. But wait, just watch. Kabam! All right, now you've changed your mind, haven't you? Look at that. Look at it. It's Joe. It's Jace in his little cowl. Like, what's up, buddy? What's up? I'm just hanging out in here. Hey, I'd like you to put your foot on my face. Put your foot on my face, Daddy. That's that. I looked at the shoes and I'm like, those are okay. Those are okay. And then I saw the Jace inside and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. I would totally love to have a pair of these. That's hilarious. Anyhow, that wraps up the news, my friends. Thanks for coming by. If you like what I'm doing here, like, comment, subscribe. It's all great for the channel. Make sure that you check out my lore channel, Fantasy Geographic, because we are releasing amazing lore videos over there. An awesome story just got released yesterday. You should definitely go and check it out. I'll link it down in the comment section for you. And other than that, all I have to say is thanks for coming by, and I will talk to you all very soon.